Hi, this is Robert McCune, and this is Module 16, the case study, and it's a case study on internet use violations. Category 1, what do I know? I know that Roosevelt High School is an affluent area of a very large city, and that families attending the school are financially secure. I know that Dr. Steve Forbes is an established and award-winning principal of Roosevelt High School, and he seems to love his job. Miss Cindy Walker was hired a year ago as a first-year teacher, kind of a non-traditional teacher, to teach specialized science courses because of her education background. Miss Walker likes to establish a rigorous and structured classroom. She generates competition among students vying to be valedictorian and salutatorian through a very rigorous course. Through very rigorous courses. Ms. Walker has not successfully implemented a few of the suggestions that Dr. Forbes gave her on stress relief and how to positively interact with her students. Ms. Walker was sent an email one night and that threatened her safety, or that she believed threatened her safety, and so she contacted Dr. Forbes, who, after reading the email and seeing the website, understood her concern. Ms. Walker identified a potential student that may have sent the email, and then finally Dr. Forbes and Ms. Walker plan to discuss and get to the bottom of the email the next day. What do I need to know? I think first and foremost is the threat real? People can get a lot of different issues, but I think you need to determine if the threat is real and if someone's safety is at risk. Also, I want to know if the school has an SRO, a school resource officer, that can aid in the investigation. I know at my school we have two that are always on duty that we can always contact and ask any questions if we need to. What is the school district's policy on threats and cyberbullying? I think that would be helpful in determining potential punishments or a way forward. Are parents and students aware of the website? Did it go viral? Did it make its way around everyone? Who is responsible for the website? Who sent the email? Is this a pattern? So has this happened before in Ms. Walker's classroom? And then does Ms. Walker have a history of discipline issues in class, being it so rigorous? And then finally, in category 1, identify the problem. I think the main issue is potential case of cyberbullying, and as a result, the teacher feels threatened. With a secondary issue of Ms. Walker needs to continue her pedagogical skills to increase student positive interactions. I think that's a must-have. She needs to feel safe, and she also needs to clearly work on interacting with students better in her own classroom. Category 2, the proposed plan of action and strategies for implementation. Step 1, she needs to, or not she, but needs to identify if the threat is real or if it's a prank. As kind of stated earlier, work with Ms. Walker, the SRO, and potentially the IT department to further investigate the issue to ensure the safety of Ms. Walker. Students need to be interviewed who may have potential knowledge. The student who Ms. Walker targeted in her conversation with Dr. Forbes needs to be interviewed, and if they do, then their parents need to be contacted as well. Step 2, review school board policy. If I were Dr. Forbes, I would make sure that I am up to date with everything on the issue. So internally review school board policy on all issues related to cyberbullying and threats to faculty. Work with staff to educate students and parents on identifying punishments for cyberbullying. So thinking of a way to get the information out so that everyone is aware and on the same page. And then step 3, contract central office if needed. If a substantial threat has occurred, then central office needs to be made aware so they can advise and help support if needed. Category 3, resolve the issues based on promoting the success of all students. I always believe that as an educator, first job is to ensure the safety of those around you, safety of the students, and the safety of the faculty. Ms. Walker feels threatened, and steps should be taken to alleviate that stress and any potential conflict that may stem from it. Because if she goes into work and feels threatened, her class is going to feel different, and she may be on edge with different things. If no threat has been found, contact the parents of the offender. If cyberbullying has occurred, the student will face punishment, and the parents should be notified. I think that's really important. That if it's just cyberbullying, if it's just a prank, then students should be sat down with, had a conversation, and parents brought in to that conversation. All stakeholders should be made particularly aware of board policies on cyberbullying, and this is going to be a common theme. Communication level about what is cyberbullying, what are potential causes of it, what are potential punishments for it. So you can send out a phone blast to parents, send an email, can be sent home, and teachers can lead a discussion or some type of infographic can be made to help educate students. Resolve issues. So it's kind of continuation of Category 3. Ms. Walker should be placed on an improvement plan. I think that's important that she's still within her first 2 years of teaching, and I know my first 2 years I was still learning a lot, learning how to handle different situations, so I think it's important that she be placed on an improvement plan. Clearly, Dr. Forbes has dealt with students and parent concerns in her class. The rigorousness of her class has created a heightened sense of competition, particularly for those top 2 spots in the class. The strictness of her approach has created a negative attitude and tension about her classes, and that has kind of permeated from students to parents, and parents, they don't think that they can work with the teacher, will immediately go to administration on how to make that better, especially in an affluent district where parents may be more likely to be engaged. Dr. Forbes should meet with parents. If the website was spread among the students, parents need to be contacted and met with and explained what happened. Further, parents of Ms. Walker's students should be met with to listen to their grievances because clearly that is an issue. And then a positive path forward should be shown to alleviate all stakeholder concerns. Communication. You can't communicate enough with students, can't communicate enough with parents. Category 4, debrief the problem. So what was I thinking and what was I feeling? My initial thoughts, Ms. Walker is an academic and a driven teacher who seems to get a little overzealous at times. I think she really needs to work on building relationships with her students, get to know them a little more rather than just kind of be all about rigor and getting things done in the classroom. She has to get to know her students a little more. Affluent parents tend to be more involved and have high expectations for their children. When I was reading it, one thing that stood out was that they had numerous meetings with Dr. Forbes about Ms. Walker, and that kind of reaffirmed my belief about the parents. Student thought that they were being funny and vented their frustration in the classroom by creating a website. I had seen that and witnessed that a couple times, and so that's where immediately my head jumped to. As I read further, Dr. Forbes' concern raised my level of seriousness on the issue. So I kind of changed a little bit as I was reading that. It's like, oh, it's a prank. And then his kind of casual attitude when she called him made it seem like it had happened before. But then when his tone turned a little more serious, then I kind of looked at the situation a little more serious as well. I believe that Dr. Forbes is having to balance being supportive of parents and his teachers, and I think that's something that administrators struggle with. I think the that they have to be supportive of their teachers in order to get the buy-in from them, but they also have to be available to listen to parent concerns. I think he offered suggestions that were not heeded by Ms. Walker, and he has very involved parents he has to manage and keep happy to help the overall positive atmosphere of his school. I think also this is an affluent school, and so it kind of seemed like a problem, but if you were to go into a lower income school, sadly this would probably be kind of commonplace. As I said before, these are a couple of things that I've witnessed. In the school I teach at, scenario has occurred several times, and it is a prank, thankfully, and it wasn't a substantial threat. And then what did I value as I was going through this? I value Dr. Forbes' culture of excellence that he's created in the school. I think that's really important, that he's created this positive culture that students and parents seem bought in on. The high school seems to have high parent involvement. As a teacher, that can be a nuisance at times, but they are involved, and that means they also care a lot about their students and their education. For the process, I valued putting the safety of everyone involved first. As mentioned before, providing a safe environment to learn is a primary goal of every school, and that has to be maintained. Component 5, or Category 5, Component 1. In resolving the situation, a process was put in place to ensure the safety of everyone involved and to ensure a deliberate investigation took place. Actions were taken that were aligned with school board policies, and that has to be done. And I think in this situation, the way I presented it, they were. Parents were consulted to further educate them on potential issues in the school. Parents' communication is key. Component 2, Ms. Walker, who had issues with students and parents, was given suggestions on how to build better rapport with students. Even though the suggestions were not heeded, she was supported by an administrator and given the chance to solve the issue collaboratively. I think that kind of goes back to giving teachers a chance, especially early teachers, giving them the support that needs to be done. And it's also on the teacher to listen and take suggestions and apply them to their classroom. A thorough investigation took place to find the cause and eliminate the problem in a fair and respectable manner. Ms. Walker, despite this incident, was put on an improvement plan to help her improve her pedagogical skills and enhance learning in her classroom. Component 3, school board policies were consulted along with the school resource officer to determine the best path forward to resolve the situation. All stakeholders were addressed in order to resolve the situation. Ms. Walker, students, and parents were consulted to successfully resolve it. And then all stakeholders were made aware of the rules for proper online conduct and the punishment that can result from a violation. And just again, reinforcing that communication piece. And finally, there's my list of works consulted. And thank you.